Okay, welcome to Get the Skinny on Screencastify. We are going to look at all the extra tools that Screencastify has to offer for us, such as the editor. So you can cut out different parts of your videos if you get interrupted and things like that. So I made some play videos that we're going to use for situations that might happen to you when you're doing a recording. Recordings are great for lesson plans for your students and or for the subs so that the day can continue even when you're not there. So you can post these into your Google Classroom, anywhere that your students are going to have access to it, and you can provide the lesson to them. So when we're working with Screencastify, um, if you have the free version, you are limited to 5 minutes of time. So if you have the complete version or the unlimited, you have unlimited time of recording. So with this, everything that I go over today, it will apply to those of you that have the free account. It will also apply to those of you that have the unlimited. You'll just see some differences. So even if you're combining videos, when I show you that, those of you that have the free version, you still have to limit it to under those 5 minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get a look at our Screencastify tools. So I'm actually going to switch accounts here because I am going to use our my Black River account, which is a full version. So if you have the free version, it is typically it's going to say upgrade, things like that. But you can always look at your account to see if you have the unlimited version. So how do we get in there if you're not already in there? One of your extensions should be your Screencastify. When you are in here, you can see that in this one, it says record unlimited. That is the paid for version. I believe it says record free. Let me look at my other one. I believe it says record free when it is the free version. Yes, record free. And then you can see here, it tells you that you are limited to those 5 minutes and if you want to upgrade. Okay, but like I said, any of the stuff that we do today, you can do it with either version. So I just went in order to start working. I went into my videos that I already have created. So you might not have a bunch created. You can just use any of those that you have today so that we can modify those. So as we are working on those, we know we have our browser tab recording, our desktop, and our webcam recording. So we know that we can record those. It puts them into my videos so I can get to it from here, which is going to take me to the new look of Screencastify. So if you haven't been in all summer, Screencastify does look a little new because it organizes them this way. Any of your videos that you create also go into my drive into a folder called Screencastify. So any of your recordings are going to be listed here as well. Um, so what we are going to look at first is the new Screencastify look. So by default, it takes me to my videos. So all of my videos are listed. So these are any that I have recorded. If I click on any of these, so such as this one, if I click on it, it is going to take me in to my recording so I can look at it here and I can see any of the recording settings. So I'm just going to pause this here for a second. There's not a whole lot of movement or anything in here. Again, I set up some videos so that we can do our scenarios today. But again, as I'm looking, by default, your videos are private, so be aware of that. So if you're trying to share them, you do have to change those share settings. You now have video viewer information. So as I am looking at the viewer, it is going to tell me who has viewed it and when. So I thought I had one that I had to show you. Let me refresh my screen. I had that open for a while. Um, Oh, nope, it was in my other one. Sorry. It was when I was doing my demo stuff. But it will tell you who has looked at it. If they're signed into their Google account, of course, it will show you their email account or their Google account, so you can see that and when they viewed it. So you can see all those demographics here. So if your student's like, oh, yeah, I watched it, you can come here and see if they truly did or not. But again, it's collecting the information of when they are signed in. We will talk about this quickly at the end is our interactive questions. So it's kind of like doing an ed puzzle right into your Screencastify video. So if you have items that you want them to answer questions for, you can add those questions right into your video. Now, this is also what I want to show you that a lot of people don't know is that when you create a Screencastify video, you can export these in different ways. So when I click on this, there are several different things. We know we can export them to YouTube. So those of you that are, have a YouTube channel, you can put these right into YouTube. Those of you that have been watching our online courses, Rebecca puts these on her YouTube channel. So if I do any recordings through Screencastify, they go into her YouTube channel for our 60 minutes or less. You can always download them. So if you want to download the file, you can download these. They do download as .webm. So that is the format that Screencastify records in. So if you click on the download, that is how it will download it. But if you need this in a different version because maybe you're submitting it someplace, it does allow you to export it as an MP4. So that is your basic standard video format type. So you would have to click on the export, and that creates a separate file. So it would create a file in your downloads as an MP4. This is the one that I want to talk about is the export as a GIF. So if you click on this to export it as an animated GIF, it just repeats it over and over again, which is nice. This is nice for if you're creating banners for your Google Classroom and you want animations in it, even for your Google Forms, anything like that. So what an GIF, it becomes an animated GIF, so it just repeats your video over and over. Now, in this case where my video is 17 seconds, that's a very long time for it to record and repeat. I'm going to pause here for a second. Okay, they're trying to be as quiet as possible. Okay, so when I click on my export as the GIF, again, it just creates that separate file, puts it into your downloads folder, and it's going to repeat that over and over. And I'll show you here in a little bit. And those of you that are attending next week, we're going to work on banners, and we'll talk quickly about creating the animated banners using the export GIF. We are going to go into what is called the editor. So in the editor, this allows us to modify our videos. So before I go into the editor, we know that we have our little scissors here and at the beginning and at the end. So it allows us to chop off, if our start at the beginning, maybe you have a pause or you can see yourself clicking and you want to cut that off. That's fine. Same at the end. So I can cut that off. So for example, I already modified this one. So let me go to my other one. So in this one, you'll see at the very end. So let's fast forward to the end. At the end, I'll give it a second. It's thinking. You can see me clicking and stopping the recording. Well, I don't want that in my recording. So this is a standard feature that Screencastify has always had, and a lot of people don't know. So I can just modify. I can click on this and kind of scrub through my video. So I can see right when I go up there. So right around here, this is where I want to stop. So then what I'm going to do is take my scissors and I'm going to drag it to that 14 seconds. So then once I click there, notice I now have the button that says Save Trim. So I want you to pay attention to this because once I click on Save Trim, it shows that, hey, we are trimming your original video and this is going to replace it. You are not going to get this back. So there's no undo. If I click on trim right now, it's done. It's a done deal. It is resaving my video from 16 seconds and it is trimming it down to 14 seconds. So I can do that. So if I click on trim, it is going to start trimming my video, and then you will see it'll change the time from 16 to 14. And it does take a second. It's going to start replaying it. And now I have my new video. Okay, it has been resaved in my drive, been resaved um, in Screencastify. So now as we are looking at this, and I'm going to stop here for 1 second. Okay, so now we're going to go into the editor. So there are two ways that you can get to editor. If you are in any of your videos, you see the button right here that says open in editor. I can click on the three little lines and I can go into editor from here. If I am in my Screencastify window, so I'm looking at my videos, I can go to edit. Why they call it different here, I don't know. But so it says editor here, says editor here, and then when you're in the Screencastify window, it says edit. So I'm going to come in here. Actually, I'm going to go in from this way. So this way, if I have this video open, so this is my sneeze video. So if I have this video open and say open in editor, it is automatically going to bring this video in. If I come from here and say launch editor, then I have to pull in the videos that I want to be a part of the edit. So I'm going to pull it in from here and say open in editor, and you will see it's going to launch a whole new tab called Screencastify Edit. So give it a second because it loads your recording as well as the sound clip. So you can see here, I now have my video as well as the sound, and I'm gonna enlarge this a little bit so you guys can see that a little bit better. So you can see there's the video as I go through, and then you can see my audio. Okay. So there's several different things that you can do in here. So to me, it reminds me a little bit of the old Windows Movie Maker. If you remember that, you can add text in here, you can add titles in here, and you can clip different movies together. So if you have multiple recordings, you can put a couple of them together. For those of you that do not have the unlimited, if you have the free version, remember, even combining videos, you only have 5 minutes of time. So when you're combining, you might have to crop out some of your video in order to get it to that 5-minute mark. So if I go through my video, and I'm going to warn you, this is very cheesy. So, but when we're recording, sometimes we have to cough, we sneeze, the phone rings, whatever it might be. So in that case, I'm going to play my recording here.
Hello and welcome to Screencastify, where we are going to achoo!
So you notice I had my little
recording
fake
our
sneeze in there.
desktop and using.
I'm sure you guys could tell it was a fake sneeze. So I had my fake sneeze. Then you notice I paused. So if you ever make a mistake in your recording, you don't have to stop and be like, oh, I got to restart this all again. So now you can either completely stop your recording and combine the two videos together, or you'll notice here I had my fake sneeze and then I left a long pause. So I knew that is where I want to crop out part of that video because I sneezed. So how do we do that? So there's a couple things that we need to do. First, we're going to have to cut our video. So we got to cut it into pieces so that I can crop from the beginning and end. So just like in the Screencastify window, I have my little cut tools at the beginning and at the end. So I can trim them just like I did in the other one. But now I want to be able to cut in the middle because here is my sneeze. So I want to cut out the sneeze and this long gap of time. So I am going to come here and click my little, I don't even know what this little guy is called, but it's my marker to show me where I am at in the video. So this is where I want to start cutting it out. So, and if I want to replay, I can right from here.
Achoo!
Okay. So I know that is definitely my sneeze. So my markers here, my timeline is outlined in yellow. If my timeline is outlined in yellow, I have all of my edit tools available. If I just click someplace and I don't get my timeline, notice it's not outlined in yellow and I do not have the option to use all of my edit tools. So I have to make sure my timeline is where I want it to, and I've clicked inside the timeline so it is selected. Now that my timeline is selected, I have the option to cut. So once I cut, it's going to cut it there into 2 clips, and then I can start trimming each of these clips. So you can see I had a little bit of delay here because that's where I had to start sneezing. So I can cut just a little bit out of that. And then I want to cut out all of this where I sneezed and then I left that gap of time. So I can click and drag to where I start talking again. And then now when I go through and play,
Explore recording
so
our
it
desktop
just
and
goes right
using the
through from
webcam.
one section to the next. Okay. So that is using my cut tool. I can cut this into multiple pieces. So, if maybe you want to create 2 different videos. Maybe you created one long video during the pandemic and you're like, oh, this was really good, except it's a 25-minute video and I only want to show kids 5 minutes of it. Bring that video in and you can start cutting out the parts that you want. The nice thing is when you're working in editor, you do have to export the video so it creates a whole new file. So it is not altering your original video. So like we did when we trimmed in the Screencastify screen, when you trim it, it's actually modifying and resaving that original video, where when you're working in editor, it actually creates a whole new file. So right now, as I'm working on this, nothing is saved. It doesn't save as I go. I can only work on one edit at a time, but when I am ready, and we'll talk about this at the end, I will export it and it creates that new video for me. Okay. So next thing is, so I created this, um I started my video, and then now I want to add some things to it. So we're going to talk about all these different tools, but before we start talking about some of these, let's see what else we can add. So over here on the right hand side, I have an add media. So once I click on that, there are 3 things that I can add. One is a title. So a title is different than text. So over here I have text, and I'm going to show you the difference between both of them. The title is a separate, think of it as like a mini video. It's a screen before your video starts. So if I click on add title, you can see it creates a title screen for me. So we're going to just call this welcome to Screencastify. You're like, you're not doing anything. So here's the thing. When I'm working in here, I don't know why, but it defaults your text to black and it defaults the background to black. So it makes it hard when you're working if you don't change the color that you can't see what you're doing. So just be careful with that. Make sure you're changing your colors. Okay, so then I can select this, I can change my size. Now here's a few other things. This screen is kind of small. So you might think, oh, that's all the formatting I have. So I have bold, italic, underline, and I have my alignment tools. Here is my font size. Okay, so I can adjust that. I do have a few fonts, not a lot. So these are all web-friendly fonts. They only give you a few. And then down here is my color. So I have my text color. I have my fill color. So if I want to be, I don't know, wild and crazy, my fill color for my placeholder. And then this is my background color. Okay, so if I wanted to change my background color to something else, and I'm making this very, oh, sorry, that was my line color. Okay, so nothing's matching, but it's all listed here. Now it's going to display for this long. If I don't want it to display this long, let's see how many seconds it is. Approximately 4 seconds. So if I want to shorten that, I just click on the trim and I can shorten it, if I only want it for a minute. So that is a title. It goes at the beginning, or it can go anywhere actually. I mean, I can move this around, so I can just click and drag to move it, but a title is a separate window. It adds on to your video. What else can I add? So if I click on add, I have drive and I have upload. So any videos that you have created in Screencastify, we know automatically go into our Google Drive. So if I click on this, it's going to open my Google Drive. I can go into my Screencastify folder because they have all been saved there. And then I can add the video that I want to add. So we're going to look at this email pop-up. So I'm going to hit select and you'll see that it'll bring in my next video and it's going to populate that. It'll take a second and it brings in the video as well as the audio. So I'm going to shrink that a little bit so you can see my 4 different components: my title, my first video that I cut into 2 sections, and then now my added video from Google Drive. I also do have the ability to upload videos if they are stored on your computer. So if you do have videos that you have taken on your phone, if you can get that onto your computer and or into your Google Drive, you can bring those in as well. So I know it'll do MOVs, it will do MP4s, it will, of course, do your WebMs. I, I'm not sure what else, but so it takes a majority of videos. So now I have this video that I have brought in. So as we're looking at this video, okay, and this has happened to me multiple times during our recordings that we do for our breakfast bites. So I don't always turn off my email. So then what happens is when I am working, I get this that pops up and my email will pop up on the screen. So as I do this recording, I get this confidential email that's popped up that everybody can read that has maybe a student's name in it or whatever it might be. And I don't want other people to see that. So there are other tools that we can use over here that'll allow us to kind of modify our video so that that is not visible for other people. Some of you that work with special ed, you might have seen some of my special ed videos that I have made for a same goal. And a lot of times I'm using live data. Well, I can't share a video that has students' names on it. So I have to blur out those things so that you can't see them. So here is where my video, or I'm sorry, my email pops in. So right around here. So what I want to do again is make sure that here's where my little indicator is, and then make sure that my video is selected so I can see the yellow box around it. And click, okay. And then you will see that I have my blur option available. So right here is my blur. So if I click on that, it will create this box. And I'm going to put this box in the corner because I know that's where the email comes in. And I'm going to try to adjust it and guesstimate where it's going to be for that email pop-up. So I can take my mouse and just kind of hover, and you can see the little marker, it moves as I go. So I'm like, oh, I just need to adjust that a little bit more. And then it stops. So I'm going to adjust this, but you can see my blur stops right here. So if I move here, my email is still popped up. So I need to expand this a little bit longer. So just like my trim tool for a video, I have my trim and expand for my blur tool. So I'm like, oh, still there, still there. So we can go through, I can kind of just scrub through it and say, okay, now it can disappear. So again, when I click here, I don't see it. Click on my play,
You can make the decision to
and then you can see you
record
can't
as
see
needed.
the email at all. It disappears and the blur goes away. Now, in this case, you can kind of see it a little bit. So if I click on my blur that is in my timeline, it gives me my blur settings. Okay, so I can create a new blur if I needed to. Um, if I want it more intense. So I definitely don't want anybody to see this. I can make it super high intense and it just looks like a little black blob. And then I can say done and it's really blurred. You can't even tell that it was an email pop up. Okay, so that's our blur tool. So again, and in a situation that might have happened to you that you don't want people to see. Maybe you don't want people to see, what account you're using or something like that. You can blur out an address at the top. You can blur out a logo, whatever it might be. But that blur tool is there and it's available. So, other options that you have when you're working in Edit is you have something called the text tool. So, when you're working with the text tool, um, you have the ability to add text on top of your recording. So again, different than adding a title. So a title you're adding to the media, where the text you're putting it on top of what you have. So if I want text here, I'm going to move my marker there, and I want to add text. So I'm going to click on the text tool, and then you can see it puts that text box right on top so that I can add text. So, and it holds your formatting from what you used earlier. So I don't want all these different things. So I'm going to take that out. I might want to keep the gray background, and I'm just going to have, oops, didn't want that. I want black text. So I'm going to say, we're going to say these are screen recordings. Okay, so this is going to pop up. I can move this around. I can angle it, whatever I need to do. So some basic formatting things or, adjusting as needed. So it's going to pop up for a few seconds here, but maybe I don't want it this long. So same as everything else, I can now adjust this. So if I only want it for like a second or so, I can adjust it so it just pops up real quickly and then it's going to disappear. So if I play through this, it's going to play through,
When
pop up,
recording in
and then
Screencastify,
it
you can
disappears.
record.
So difference between adding a title and adding text. Okay. Next, maybe we're going to talk at some point in time, we're going to talk about the screen recording tools. So you can see them in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen. So I want to enlarge those because I'm going to talk about them here for a second. So there is something called the zoom tool. So I'm going to use the zoom tool to bring it up on the screen so it's a little bit larger and then it can disappear. So I'm going to go to the section where I want to zoom in. So maybe it's just going to be right here. And you're going to see I'm kind of going around my video. The videos all look the same. I mean, it's basically my drive screen, but this is the zoom tool will show you what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to click right here. I'm going to make sure that this part of my video is active. So you can see that yellow box comes around it. I'm going to have it pop up during this part of the video, but the rest of the video, I don't want it blown up on my screen. Okay, so this is, again, you can determine where you want it to start zooming, how long you want it to zoom, just like our other tools. So I want it to start right here. I'm going to hit zoom, and you can see here's my zoom box. So I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to have this part kind of enlarge. And it only stays in a rectangle. It doesn't allow you to kind of, super shrink it or whatever. You can see I can't go, I can go like this, but I can't bring this down. So if I want to see the whole toolbox, I have to keep it in that rectangular shape. So, and then you can see, here's my transition speed in and out. So how you want it to come in and out. And you'll see here when I play it, if you want to adjust it. So I'm going to say done. So as I play this, you can see,
Explore
so you can see it
recording on
zooms into that
desktop and
section, and then
using the
here it's going to zoom
webcam.
back out. So this is great for menus. So if you're teaching kids maybe how to log into their online curriculum, maybe you're teaching them how to use Clever to get into something, you can zoom into the icon, you can zoom into the menu, whatever it might be. Zoom into that section so it gets really big, and then it'll zoom back out. And just like any of my other tools, I can, if I click on it, I can get into my settings, or I can adjust the length of it based on what I need. So if that went too long, I can shrink it or expand it if I wanted it to go through the whole entire thing. Okay. So now the next part. Okay. So, and then this is our last one. So our crop tool. So this one's a little tricky. I've used it a couple times, but what this does is actually crops out part of your video. So, for example, if I am looking here, and you can see I recorded and I had all these different tabs open across the screen. Well, maybe while I'm recording, I'm like, oh, I'd really like to use the browser tab recording because it's such a nice, clean recording and you can't see all those tabs. But I have to switch in between screens, so I can't really use the browser tab recording. So, this is where the crop tool can come into play. So I don't want you guys to see all my tabs that are open. Embarrassing. A technology teacher has a zillion tabs open at one time. So I want to crop those out. So I'm going to click, move my indicator at the beginning of my video, and I'm going to click on my crop tool. So once I click on my crop tool, I'm going to adjust it to the area of the screen that I want available. So you can see here, I don't want to see my toolbar at the bottom. I don't want to see my tabs across the top. I just want to see that clean video. So once I have my crop tool set, I'm going to hit done, and it's going to crop that part of the video out. And you can see, this is the thing. This goes for your entire clip. Okay, so it is not like the Zoom, it is not like your text, and it's not like the blur. It is the entire clip here. So if I play my clip and I hit
To
play, you can
Screencastify,
see all the
where
way
we
through,
are
it's going to
going
be
to
cropped out.
explore recording on
Okay, and then you can
desktop
see
and
here
using
it's
the
back
webcam.
because it's a
When
separate clip.
recording in
So if you have multiple clips, you're going to have to crop all of them. Okay. There is an undo feature. So if you did make a mistake when you are cropping, you can click on undo or use your Control Z, but you'll notice that once I crop, um, if I want to get back into it, there's no indicator that this clip was cropped. So you just have to click on it and then click on crop, and it will bring it back up, and I can adjust it as needed. Okay. So again, this one's not cropped because nothing popped up. If I click here, nothing is going to pop up until I hit crop, and then it will pop up and I can modify what is already there. Okay. And then, of course, if there's anything that you have created, maybe you have this blur and you're like, I don't care if they see my email pop up, it's not a big deal. I don't want the blur. You have your delete option. So you can delete any of the additional things that you have added into your video, or you can delete an actual video clip. So if I want to delete this entire video clip, I can click on the delete feature. Okay. Okay, so those are all the tools. So I've created my video. It is now up to 30 seconds long. Remember, those of you that have the free version, with the free version, you're limited to that 5 minutes. So you have to be cautious of your timeline. I can zoom in and out of my timeline, make it bigger or smaller. I like when I am adding text and zoom features and so forth. Um, I like to zoom in so I can see it a little bit more, but sometimes, sometimes as it gets longer, I need to zoom out so I can see more of my timeline. Okay, so these little buttons don't work. I catch myself clicking on them all the time, and they don't work. You do have to click and drag to zoom in and out. Okay. So last thing, so we have everything created. Now we have to save or export our video. There are two ways to export. So then let me say this before we export, because we're on an accelerated time here. But when you are working, you want to make sure you play through this over and over again, that you don't see, um,
Explore. You
that
can make the
email pop up at
decision
all. You don't see
to
those students' names,
record as
anything like
needed.
that, because once you export, you're done. It saves it, and it saves all of these features into the new video. And then once you close out an editor, you can't go back in and make modifications. So be careful with exporting. Triple, quadruple check your video before you export it. Okay. So if I closed out of this screen and went back into editor, this edit video will pop up. But as soon as I start a new edit, I can't get back to my old edits. Okay. So, or once I export it and it becomes its own new video, I can't get back in to modify any of my zooms or blurs or anything like that. So, two options that you have, I can export to Screencastify. So if I click on that, it is going to have me name it. So I'm going to hit save. This is actually going to take a few minutes to save, but it is going to save it into my Google Drive. Okay. So, oh, that was actually pretty quick. So it's saving it. It's done. So it has been stored in Google Drive as a private video. Okay, so right now it's a private video. So if I go into Screencastify, let me refresh my page real quick. Maybe what happened to my screen? There it is. So you can see here, and it's not shared. So it is private to me and me only. So if I try to put this in a slideshow, nobody's going to see it. If I try to put it on Google Classroom, um, that will share it for you. But you want to make sure that it's shared if you're sending this out to other people. So when I'm here, did I close out? Oh, there it is. So if I say copy the watch link page, so if I click on that, okay, so it says it's done, I'm done. So what that copy that watch link page is, it will automatically modify it so it becomes a shared video. Okay, so then you have the watch link, so you can use that in your Google Classroom. You can post it on a web page, whatever it might be. So that is now in here. But if I watch this video, um, it's still processing. If I watch this video, it's going to have all those features in it, but I can't get back in to modify any of those. I can still modify because I have this open. But again, once I start a new edit, all this stuff goes away. You can only have one edit at a time. The other option that I have for exporting is export it as an MP4. So this is maybe if you have to send it in someplace, maybe, to post it somewhere, needs to be an MP4 format, you can export it. It goes into your downloads, but same process. It allows you to name it. It saves it into your downloads on your computer, so that you have that. Okay, and then you can use that file. It becomes a file, so you can use that file as needed. Okay. So again, now if I close out, okay, it's gone. If I go back if I click on open in editor, all of those edits that I just did are gone. I can no longer make any changes to it. If I do just go back into edit myself without a video attached, it should bring it up. Oh, launch the editor. So it'll bring this up until I start a new one. So if I clicked on that button that says open an editor, it would override this one. So again, only one edit at a time. Okay, so a few things. Can you delete the whole video if you don't like something that's in the video? Yes, it becomes its own separate video. So if I wanted to restart, you can see here I have my email pop up, I have my sneeze. I can start all over and start cropping things out, adding blurs, whatever I need to do. So it does not touch your original videos that you created in Screencastify. When you click on that export button, it creates a whole new one. So if you decide you don't like it and want to start all over again, just click on it, you hit your delete, it is now gone. So it is out of your Screencastify folder. Okay. So yes, once you do that export, you can do what you want with them. Just like any other file. When you are creating, so again, I have 30 seconds of combined videos. If you have the free version, so yours would say edit free, you only have 5 minutes of combining video time. So you can have 4 different clips. If they're all 30 seconds, you can bring all 4 clips together because that's not going to go over your 5 minutes of time. So if you have 4 clips and they're, 2 minutes each, it's not going to allow you to add those additional videos because you don't have enough time. Okay. Any questions with edits or the editor? Because there's a few other things that I want to show you that Screencastify offers. Okay. If you do have a question, we'll have time at the end, but we are going to look at 2 other things that Screencastify offers. One is the ability to add questions into videos, kind of like an ed puzzle, and also the ability to use Submit, which kind of reminds me of Flipgrid, which is now called Flip, if you didn't hear. They took off the grid part. So I want to show you those 2 features really quick without having students. I'm more or less going to kind of show you the teacher side, how to create it, and what it can do for you. If you are using Submit with the free version, you get 1 assignment. So you can assign this to multiple classes and so forth, but you can only have 1 assignment going at a time. So all of your students would be with this one video. For those of you that have the unlimited, you can create multiple assignments. Okay, so what is an assignment? So this is a way that you can create, again, just like a Flipgrid, it's like video journaling. So maybe it's the beginning of the school year and you want them to introduce themselves. So I'm going to click here on new assignments. There are 3 ways that they can record if you want them to do a screen recording and webcam. That's an option. This would be good for my math teachers. So if you know want them to be working out a math problem and you want to be able to see them to make sure it's them behind the camera doing the work, you can use the screen and webcam recording. Screen only would only record their screen. So if they're doing something, some type of project, and you want them to walk through it, maybe you just want them, maybe they're doing a story or something like that. You want to only see, you know, the slideshow, but they're narrating the story, you would do the screen recording only. And then for my example, I'm going to use the webcam recording because I want my students to record themselves, to introduce themselves at the beginning of the school year. So I'm going to click on web recording only. I'm going to click on next, and then I'm going to assign or create the assignment. So let's just call it introductions. I know I spelled that wrong. Okay. So I have this, and this is great for language class. So if you have a language class, you can type this in English, but then maybe they have to speak in Spanish or French or, you know, whatever language your district offers. So, you know, just like people were using Flipgrid for some of these things, we can now use this in Screencastify, and it saves those videos right into your Google Drive folder. So a little bit different than going out to a separate application web tool like Flipgrid. And I know I have typos and stuff in there, but this is an example. So once I create this, you have some different settings. So how do you want this to be set? So anyone with the link or anyone in my organization. So I don't think anybody on this call has a different organization for students, but some districts have like student.blrv.org, you know, and staff.blrv.org. So if your district does have something different where, you know, staff is different than students, you might not want to use this. But if you're using this with your students, you can say anyone within my organization. And I know that at BLRV, I know that I have the same domain as my students. So I'm going to leave it at that. Or if you're doing this for something fun, you know, before summer is out and you're not sure if they're logged in with their school Gmail, you can say anybody with the link. This is the nice feature right here, video privacy. How do you want the students to be able to see their videos or any of the videos? Students cannot see any videos that includes their own. So only you have access to them when they submit them, or students can view their own video so they can record and see what they've recorded. Or if this is something that, you know, maybe you're, you know, doing a share in class and you're going to have some type of discussion and you want the students to be able to see each other's videos, students can view other videos. Okay, so those are your three settings for your videos. And then do you want no email notifications when those are submitted? So if you're doing this through Google Classroom, you might not want that on. Because you're going to be checking it in Google Classroom. So if you're just going to leave it here in Screencastify and you're like, oh, I might forget to check this, make sure that, you know, they've turned things in, then you might want that email notification on. So I'm just going to leave it like this. They can view their own video, no emails, and within my organization. So I am going to say next. And then now it says my assignment is live. So it will be saved in this folder in my Google Drive. So if I click on that, it creates a folder called Introductions in a folder called Screencastify Submit. So it is different than my Screencastify folder. So you can see it's not in this folder. So now in my drive, I have Screencastify and I have Screencastify Submit. So they keep them separate. So these are recordings that you have created. These are recordings that students have created, and they will all show up in this introduction folder for me to be able to view them. Okay. So the other thing is, here is my link. So if I want to copy this, I can copy it and put it into my Google Classroom so then students can start working on it. What does this look like? So when I click on the preview, this is what the students are going to see. So whether you post it in Google Classroom or not, this is how they are going to see it on their end. They will have to accept that the mic and the webcam can work. So they're going to have to allow both of those. So you might want to put that in your instructions for your first one. But whatever you put as your title shows up here. And then any in the summary or the description shows up here. So just like a Flipgrid, they're going to see this. They're going to hit the record button. The webcam will come on and it's going to record what they say. Okay. And then again, once it's recorded, all of those are going to get stored in this introduction folder for you to be able to check. Okay. So you can also see right here. So if I'm going back through my Screencastify, let me dismiss this. I can go to my videos. These are all my recordings. Here's my editor and then my submit. So if I come back here, here's my one assignment. I can see any students that have submitted. So as they're submitting, they're going to populate here. If I need to reshare it, I can copy the link here. And then when this assignment is over, or because I know I made typos, I can go into edit and I can make those modifications. So if I need to come in here and clean this up a little bit, I can, and then next, and then resave or change any of my settings. Okay. And then once the assignment is over, I close the assignment. So those of you that have the free version, you can only have one active or open submit assignment at a time. So once I'm done with this one, I can close it and then I can create a new one, but it will go to all the students. You can't have a separate one for first period, second period, third period. You have to use the same assignment. So that's the only downfall with this. With the free version, you can only have one open assignment at a time. Okay. Any questions with submits? And I know that was a quick overview, but it is a feature that is there. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at our last one. And I'm just going to add this into one of my videos that I've created here. Actually, we'll add it into here. Oh, I deleted it. Never mind. Oh, we're gonna export this again. I'm going to use that one. We're going to ask a question about the video that we just created. So that's the nice thing. I can combine everything. It's going to create the video I exported it to my drive. So now that it's available in my Screencastify, I can use that and I can use this with the different features that Screencastify has. So you can see it now allows you to see your viewers. So from the screen, you can see those viewers here, as well as it, when you record the video or click on it. But now if I click on it, and it might not be ready yet, if I look on the side, I have over here interactive questions. So if I click on that, if I want to say, maybe I'm going to say what tool, so I'm going to add that right here. Oh, I haven't used it with this account yet. I know I'm trying to hurry you guys. I'm sorry. Okay, so here is where I can add. So I wanted it at the 8-second mark. Okay, so I want to add my question. What tool is Okay. You do have to have a minimum of 2 responses, and then you can mark the correct one. So I'm going to say zoom. We're going to say enlarge. We're going to say, okay. So I have my correct one selected, and then I'm going to hit save. And then you'll see here, it's going to add the question, and then I have my view list. So if I have multiple questions, they're all going to be listed here. I can share this out right into Google Classroom. So just like any of my other things. And then as students are responding to it, their responses are going to show here. Okay, so I had one set up in my other account, but their name would be here, how many they got correct, and so forth. So also when I come back to my screen, which was here, I can go into my viewers. I can see who has viewed it. Okay. If I'm looking at my Screencastify screen, there's going to be a green check mark here next in the video that has questions. And so as students are starting to answer it, you can click right on that question mark in order to see those responses that the students have submitted. So, and then I can also, get back to here by clicking on interactive questions, and then I can go to responses from here as well. So multiple ways you can get back to the responses. So it's kind of like an Ed puzzle built right into Screencastify. So I'm going to stop there. I know I have gone over time. So is there any questions